Thank you very much. Mark.
See, I do a lot of those fine. Well, then let's just wrap up. And Deb, if I could, maybe just, you and I talked 18 months ago, might even be longer, and I showed up at Walgreens. I had never met Deb, and I basically painted this idea after I watched Randy's video. So I brainstormed, and it was a better idea than a hockey stick, I think. But so I guess, I'll give you the final word, and then we'll thank everybody. But, something attracted you that this might work. And so, Larry found us after you took the first leap, and thank you. You've all been great leaders. If you could maybe just let us know what attracted, what do you hope to get out of this partnership? And we know we're not exclusive, and we know you got a ton of initiatives going on. What attracted?
It was several things, and I still remember sitting in my office with you, and you guys had this great PowerPoint, you had things you folded out, you had the articles on your son, and it was, in some ways, it was a little overwhelming for me because you were so far along in your planning, but at the same time, you just continued to exude this openness about, well, we'll shift it if it's going to make it work better. We're flexible. We're really interested in making this work with you and for the individuals that we're serving. You were looking at wrapping around things, not just, how do we get our students jobs in Walgreens. You were looking at much bigger picture things that were impressive to me. One of the things that I think also really touched me, and Chris hit on it, was the life skills piece of it. We, as an employer, have now learned how to be life skills coaches for our employees who nobody ever thought they would have a full-time job where they earned tons of money, to the fact that they're no longer getting services from the state, and now they can buy every video game in the world and stay up all night playing those video games because they live in their own apartment. No one ever taught them that they need to go to bed so that they can come to work the next day and not fall asleep on the job. And that's something we've had to kind of take on. And when you were addressing that when we first met, the first couple of times we met, that this was about community and the whole life and somebody's involvement and their ability to achieve their potential. Those were the attractive pieces to me. And I'll say that, as Randy said, we're taking what we learned from the distribution centers, and it's become my job to develop the model for our stores, which has been very difficult because our stores are already doing this in very individual ways in each of their stores, but their stores are very individual in their characteristics, or each district is individual in its characteristic. And Turning Points just seemed to be a great fit for the stores in the district we had where you guys were located. I mean, it was magical that we could connect those together, because what you guys doing here isn't going to look exactly like what we're doing in other districts or other markets or other parts of the country, but it has those same principles about sustainability, about talent, about making sure that we are creating the opportunity for people with disabilities to be qualified applicants for the jobs that the businesses need. I mean, that's just the key to everything. And your vision for all this really put that together. And I'll never forget when you called me and go, oh my God, we have this new property and we're going to do this new thing. We're going to get this training center. We got space. We got all this space. What can we do with the space?
Am I really that excited?
It was so cool. I really enjoyed that conversation as well, because it just, that continued commitment to work with us, but to find, you had heard about what we've done in Anderson, South Carolina, about our training center. And when you had the opportunity to grab that space and think about using it for that purpose, that was obvious to me that you were really engaged in the partnership between our company and your organization to find ways to create success.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's give a round of applause to the panel. Absolutely.
At the risk of asking you guys to sit for just a couple more minutes, so I had been thinking. We had a pre-planning call the other day just to say, okay, how are these questions going to go? Who's going to answer? What are you going to say? And one of the last ones was that I had said for the Office Connects team, well, I'll take this one. What should be our vision? And I thought I had my thoughts together over the last couple of days and thinking last night what I would say. But then as I heard people talking today, then I had to start writing and saying, maybe my thoughts aren't aiming high enough, and I'm not thinking about this in the right way. So if I could, I'd like to share what I wrote down, because this morning was supposed to be about kind of changing how they think about these things, and some of what I listened to this morning changed some of the ways I was thinking about things. So I guess I'd start with, I want to take back to our company matching the passion and energy that Randy has, that Mark has, that James has, that Chris has. mean, I can't write that on a PowerPoint slide. It's one of those things that you kind of have to live and experience and be part of. But I mean, that's what I got when I went to Anderson. That's what I get by sitting here today. So I've got to find a way to take that back. I also thought it's not just about hiring people with disabilities, but making people with disabilities successful. So a lot of our, you talk to an HR group about what are we going to do. You talk about, well, how are we going to get people in the door? How are we going to get them through the hiring process? But the real challenge is how do we make that person feel included and successful? So that was another note that I wrote down. Being a better company and a better place to work because we bring out the best in people. I mean, you can't watch the videos that Randy showed. You can't hear stories about having people with hearing disabilities come into a work environment. I was talking to Randy before. It's tough. It's happened in his centers. It's happened in ours. Normally, hearing people, if you're building the right culture, if you've hired the right people, and you've gone about this the right way, normally hearing people want to learn sign language so that they can communicate with people that can't hear. I can stand up all day long and talk about this initiative within my group. I can't make that happen. That stuff just happens. And that's when you know you've got a strong team and you know you've got an advantage in that distribution center. Because if that stuff starts to happen on its own, then when there's problems with the line going down, or we're having quality problems, or we're having a safety issue, if people can bond like that, guess what? They can solve normal business problems. So there's strength, I think, in that inclusive and learning culture, and I'm excited to be part of that happening at Office Max. So that was from whatever I thought of earlier in the week, listening today, I think I've got a much better message, I think, for Chris and I and Brian to kind of take back. I just got to find the right way to do that now. So thank you for giving me that extra time.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. It's fantastic. Thank you guys all for being leaders. One more time for James and Randy. Thank you guys. I hope you all found this valuable. You're out on time. The challenge was that you would learn something, you would be inspired, and you would think differently. And I hope that you've done that, or we've done that. I hope we've given you something to think about. My only ask of you is to be open to talk to us. We want to be a catalyst for change. We think we've got a great idea. We've got great partners. Let's make hope and history rhyme. Let's provide life with meaningful and confident adulthood. And we can all do that together. I thank you for your time. We will all stick around afterwards to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Just so everyone knows, too, we're going to have an open house towards the end of January. We invite you all to come to that. We'll make sure you're notified of it when we're ready to show you the pre-training environment and what we're doing. So we'll be sure to